Hello, my name's Vicky Wachet and I am part of thesourcesapprentice.com. I was working with a client this morning and we were talking about marketing very specifically. My client really wants to attract the right sort of clients into his business. And so we were talking about his presence on the web, marketing, how things have changed. And I took him through a very precise process, and I'm going to share that with you in the materials that are attached to this video. And what I wanted to do was get him to start thinking about his story, his pitch, how he describes his business. What is it that he does? And of course, when anybody starts doing that, unless they've been through one of these exercises before, they start off with sentences like, I do this, I do that, I can this, I can that. And what you're really doing when you do that is you're speaking about yourself. I can do this for you. And of course, you're coming from a different position. Now, if you turn that on its head and you get the client to listen to their words, they'd be going, yeah, so what's in it for me? It's all about you. If you start speaking in a way that your client can immediately relate to, so you start saying things that tap into their values, that tap into their needs, that they can relate to right in those early sentences, their ears prick up and they start going, oh, okay, so actually you could help me with what it is that I'm looking for. Depends on the business you're in as to what that might be. And so what I did was I got him to go through a process. We went through the initial steps where we started to draft out what it was that he felt that his business was. And we identified that his business really had two clear service streams. He could help them in one way, or he could help a client in another way. And the only way he was going to tell which of the services his clients wanted was after he'd engaged them in a conversation. And to engage them in a conversation, he needed to ask the right questions, but all of that needed to be funneling down so that he got the information that he needed in order to speak to them about their needs and their outcomes, what they wanted. So one of the tools that I'm going to share with you is called the client template. And the process is quite simple. Think of everybody you know that might be a client for you. So obviously I work in property. One of my businesses is to source property for people. So anybody who's got any money who might want to invest in property and get a better return. So I can think of friends, family, associates, people I've met networking, and start to list them. So first of all, make a list of all their names and do that in the columns. And then as you move across the columns, start to describe each individual person according to the headings. And once you've filled the template, read it and look back, and you'll start to find there are groupings. There are broad, what I would call avatars of people. So some people might be a male in their middle age, and they might be employed, and they might be worried about this, and they might want something else. And you'll see there's this little cluster of that type of people. Some of the people that you have listed are all going to fall under that general description. They'll have, various little tweaks around it, but generally there'll be that type of an avatar. Then there'll be an avatar, and they might be a woman who runs her own business who's in her mid-30s. And so you'll start to group all your friends, and you can shuffle the order of the people that you made in that list. And as you work through the list, what you'll find is that this groups up into usually somewhere in the region of 4 to 6 broad avatars. And when you've collated all of your names into those 4 to 6, look at the 4 to 6 and think to yourself, who is the easiest 2 people for me to sell to? And mark them 1 and 2. And then look at it and say, who are the hardest 1 or 2 people for me to sell to? So for example, if you had just started a brand new business and you didn't have an account that showed that you earned over £25,000 a year, it would be very difficult for me to get you a mortgage, and therefore it would be very difficult for me to sell you my services. So I could put that type of avatar down at the bottom of my list. And then what you've done is you've shuffled your avatars into potential or the categories. Who's the hottest lead? Who is the hottest avatar? And then who is the warmest avatar? And finally at the bottom of the list, who is the coldest avatar? And when you've done that, you can really start to read those 2 top people. And again, there'll be similarities even between the top 2. Might be a subtle difference, like one is a male of a certain age and one is a female of a certain age. It might be that one is focused on their children and one is focused on themselves. But broadly, they're going to want similar things, but just with these finer tweaks. Now, go back to that story of what do you do and how do you help people, and imagine that the person that you're speaking to, sitting right in front of you, is one of those avatars. And speak to them. Have that conversation directly with that person, and you'll know who they are. I call one of my avatars Joe. I know who Joe is. Joe is a real person. I've met him. And what I do is I imagine that I'm speaking to Joe. So when I prepare pitches, when I prepare talks for if I'm going to speaking at events, when I write blogs, when I produce my marketing material, every time I produce anything about my business, I am writing directly to Joe. And I think that comes across then in the way that I'm writing. And for all the Joes that are out there, when they read that material or they hear me speak, they go, crikey, Vicky's talking directly to me. You must have been somewhere where you've read something, maybe in a book or marketing, or you've heard someone speak and you've gone, that was for me. That person said that directly for me. And that's the mark of good marketing. So we've included the template for you, included the video on how to do it, work through filling it out, work through sorting them into your collective avatars, and then rewrite all your materials, all your profiles, and speak directly to the needs, the values, the wants, and even overcome the objections of your primary hottest lead avatars. Enjoy marketing. It is a fantastic opportunity. There's loads of material in the newsletter that goes alongside this video. So do enjoy. And of course, if you've got any questions whatsoever, do get in touch. My name is Vicky Boucher. I'm part of the sourcesapprentice.com, and you'll find all my contact details on the video and of course in the newsletters. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.